Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DISB.
Hello,
Download.
everyone, and welcome to
an
the
official
DISB
podcast of the
Download.
District of Columbia,
An official
Department
podcast
of Insurance,
of the District of
Security,
Columbia,
and
Department
Banking.
of Insurance,
I'm Jasmine
Security,
Hicks,
and
Program
Banking.
Analyst at
I'm
DISB,
Jasmine Hicks,
and
Program
Manager
Analyst
of the
at
Bank on
DISB
DC
program.
and Manager
And I'm
of the
Michelle
Bank on
Hammonds,
DC
the
program.
Director of the
And I'm
DISB
Michelle
Office
Hammonds,
of
the
Financial
Director of the
Empowerment and
DISB
Education.
Office of Financial
In this
Empowerment and
episode,
Education.
we're going to discuss the different
this
ways
episode,
you can save
we're gonna
money
discuss
for the
the
future
different ways
and things
you
you'll
can
need
save
to know
money for
about
the
credit
future.
and things you'll need to
We
know about
understand
credit.
that access and financial
We
education
understand
is
that
key
access
to
and financial
education
is
is key
key
to financial
And in keeping with
empowerment
Mayor
and
Bowles'
independence.
vision, we believe
And in
that
keeping
every
with Mayor
Washingtonian
Bowles'
has
vision,
the
we
right
believe
to a
that
fair
every
shot
Washingtonian
through
has the
financial
right to a
education
fair shot
and
through
with
financial
it,
education,
the ability to make
and
positive
with it,
the
financial
ability to make
decisions.
positive financial decisions.
So let's get started. Michelle, let's
So let's
begin
get
by
started.
talking about saving money.
Michelle,
let's
what are
begin by
some of the
talking about
basics
saving
of
money
saving,
and how can
what are
folks
some of the
assess
basics
their
of
savings
saving,
plan and how can folks
Well,
assess
Jasmine,
their savings plan?
Let's first say saving is simply the process of cutting
saving
spending
is simply
and
the
putting
process
money
of
away.
cutting spending
in order to
and
guarantee
putting money away.
you have the
in
funds
order
available
to guarantee
for
you
when
have
you
the
need
funds
them later.
available for when you need them
Assessing
later.
your savings can be a very simple
Assessing
plan.
your savings
Understanding
can be a
your
very
cash
simple
flow
plan.
and
Understanding
creating an
your
effective
cash
budget
flow
is
and
all
creating
about
an
knowing
effective
exactly
budget
how much
is
you're
all
earning
about knowing exactly
and also
how much you're
you're
earning,
spending.
and also
First
how much money
spending.
you're bringing in.
First
each month.
calculate how much
and
money
make sure
you're
you
bringing
use
in
your
each
net
month.
pay,
And make
not
sure
gross
you
pay.
use your net
That
pay,
is,
not
use the
gross
amount
pay.
you receive
That
after
is,
taxes.
use the amount
and
you
any
receive
other
after
deductions
taxes,
like retirement
and
savings
any other
or
deductions
insurance
like
that are
retirement
taken out.
savings or insurance that
Next,
are taken out.
Track your spending.
Next,
That
track
includes
your
both
spending.
regular payments you make,
That includes
like rent
both regular
and
payments
mortgage
you
payments,
make,
like
even
rent
insurance
and
payments
mortgage
and
payments,
other bills,
even
as
insurance
well as your
payments and other
day-to-day
bills,
expenses,
as well as
for
your
the things that
day-to-day
you buy.
expenses.
Tracking
for the
your
things that
spending
you buy
will help you pinpoint
Tracking your
areas
spending
where you may
will help
be
you pinpoint
overspending.
areas where you may be
and help you
overspending.
identify where you can make
and
cuts.
help you identify
It doesn't
where
feel
you can
like
make
you're
cuts.
spending much when you
It doesn't
buy a
feel like you're
$5
spending much
cup of coffee
when you buy
every
a
morning.
$5
But
cup
you'll
of coffee
easily
every
be able
morning. to see how
But
that
you'll
adds up
easily
over time
be able to see
and
how that
assess
adds
whether
up over
you should
time
cut back
and assess
From
whether
there,
you should
set
cut back.
savings goals.
From there, maybe
Set
you want to
savings
save up
goals.
to buy a new car.
Maybe you want to save
or
up
pay
to
off
buy
debt.
a new car.
Make
Or
adjustments
pay off
in your
debt.
spending and
Make
or
adjustments
income
in your
where
spending
you can
and or
and
income
stick to your
where
plan
you can,
so that
and
you can
stick
achieve
to your plan,
your goals. So that you can achieve
That's great
your
advice,
goals.
Michelle. We know that
That's
creating
great advice,
savings
Michelle.
goals. We
And
know that
saving money
creating
can
savings
feel a little
goals
overwhelming.
And saving money
Are
can
there
feel
ways
a little
to save
overwhelming
money
automatically?
Are
that
there
make it
ways to
easier?
save money automatically?
Saving
that make it
automatically
easier?
is the easiest
Saving
and most
automatically
effective
is the
way to
easiest
save money.
and most effective
And there
way
are a
to
few
save
ways
money.
you can do it.
And there are a few
You
ways
can instruct
you can
your
do it.
employer to
You can
direct
instruct
a
your
certain amount
employer
of your paycheck
to direct
into
a
a
certain
certain
amount
amount
of your
account
paycheck
or retirement
into a
fund,
savings
or really
account
both.
or retirement fund.
You can
or
ask
really
your
both.
HR representative how
You can
to do
ask
this.
your HR
You
representative
can also
how to do
choose to
this.
direct money from
You can
your checking
also
account
choose to direct
into
money
your
from
from your
savings
checking
account
account.
into
You can
your
talk to your
savings
bank
account.
or credit
You can
union
talk to your
set up
bank
an automatic
or
transfer
credit union to set up
every
an
pay
automatic
period.
transfer.
Or
every
you can
pay
choose
period.
a day of the month,
Or you can
or regular
choose a day of the
interval
month
to transfer
or regular
a set
interval
amount
between
to transfer a set
Of
amount
course,
between
a simple
accounts.
way to save
Of course,
is regularly
a simple
put
way
your
to
loose
save
change
is
in a
regularly
jar as well.
put your loose
Over
change
time,
in a jar as well.
You can see the coins
Over
pile
time,
up.
and
You can
see
take
the
that
coins
jar to the
pile
bank
up,
or credit union
and you can
when it's
take
filled
that jar
up,
to the
and
bank
turn
or
it
credit
into
union when it's
cash,
filled
and
up,
deposit it
and
right
turn it
into
into
your
cash,
savings account.
and deposit it right
There
into
are
your
a lot
savings
of
account.
saving options out there.
There are a lot of saving
including
options
retirement plans
out there.
like 401k, including retirement
But
plans
arguably,
like 401k.
the most
important fund to
But
maintain
arguably,
is
the
an
most
emergency
important
fund to
savings fund.
maintain. Is
Can
an
you
emergency
talk a little bit
savings
about
fund. The importance.
Can you talk
of
a little bit
having
about
savings to
the
address
importance
emergencies? Of having savings to
An
address
emergency
emergencies.
savings fund consists of
An emergency
approximately
savings
3 to
fund
6
consists
months
of
approximately
3 to 6
You
months
usually will
expenses.
start small.
You usually
with
will
regular
start small
automatic contributions
with regular
that build
automatic
up over
contributions
time.
that build
We
up
never
over
know when
time.
unexpected emergencies
We
will
never
come
know
up in
when
our lives.
unexpected emergencies
And
will come up
unfortunately,
in our lives.
most emergencies end up
unfortunately,
being very
most
expensive.
emergencies end up being
Whether they're
very
related
expensive.
to health care,
Whether they're related to health care
or anything
transportation,
striving
or
to
anything
save
else.
at least $1,000
Striving to
for
save at
emergencies
least
can allow you
$1,000
to
for
meet
emergencies
unexpected
can allow you
financial
to meet
challenges
unexpected
without having to
financial
take out
challenges.
loans. Without having
You
to
can
take
find
out
a
loans.
calculator on
You
financially
can find
fit
a
DC
calculator
to
on
figure
financially
out
fit
how
DC
much
to
you should
figure
put
out
away for
how
emergencies,
much you
based
should
on
put
your
away
income,
for emergencies,
tax bracket,
based on your income
and other information.
tax bracket, and other information.
And now that I've mentioned it,
let me say
and
a
now
few
that
words
I've mentioned
about
it,
the financially
let me say
fit
a few
DC
words
program.
about the financially
It's a
fit
terrific
DC
free
program.
online
It's a
tool
terrific
that helps
free
district
online
residents
tool
assess
that helps
and enhance
district
their
residents
financial
assess
well-being
and enhance their
Financially
financial
Fit
well-being.
DC is driven
Financially
by a
Fit
web-based
DC
financial
is driven by
assessment
a web-based
that guides
financial
residents
assessment
through
tool
the process
that guides
of creating
residents
a workable
through the
budget,
process of creating
managing
a
their
workable
credit,
budget, purchasing
managing
a
their
home,
credit,
planning for
purchasing
retirement,
a home,
and building
planning
wealth.
for retirement.
The
and
tool helps
building wealth.
users identify
The
short-term
tool helps
needs
users
and
identify
set
short-term
lifetime
goals
through
and
a
set
personalized
lifetime goals
financial
through
roadmap.
a personalized financial
This
roadmap.
innovative approach aims
This
to foster
innovative approach
behavioral
aims
changes
to foster
that will positively
behavioral changes
impact
that
individuals
will positively
and families
impact
over the
individuals
long term.
and families over
Listeners
the long term.
can access financially fit
Listeners
through
can
the
access
DISB
financially
website
fit
at
through the DISB website
DISB
at DISB.gov
or
DC
directly at
.gov
financially
or
fit
directly
DC
at
.com.
financiallyfitdc.com.
Thank you, Michelle. It sounds like we could all benefit from the financial planning tools benefit that financially fit DC provides. That financially fit DC saving money can be tricky. I know that saving money can be tricky. For those of us with balance saving money, how does one balance saving money? How do we prioritize the two? How do we prioritize?
This is a really
the two?
important question, Jasmine. And
This
I'm
is a
glad
really
you raised
important
it.
question, Jasmine.
How you
And I'm glad
prioritize
you
your
raised it.
saving and
How you
spending
prioritize
really
your
depends
saving
on your
and spending
circumstances.
really
If you
depends
have
on your
high
circumstances.
interest debt, then
If you
paying
have
it
high
off
interest
should
debt,
be a
then
priority.
paying it off should
It's
be a
important
priority.
to keep your debt from accumulating
It's important
so
to
much
keep your
interest
debt from
that it
accumulating
becomes
so much
overwhelming.
interest that it becomes
Make
overwhelming.
sure you make all your payments on
Make
time.
sure you make
And
all
pay
your payments
at least
on time.
a little more than a
And
minimum
pay
amount.
at least
each
a
month.
little more than a minimum
It will help you
amount
pay off
each
your
month.
debt as fast.
It will
as
help you
possible.
pay off your debt
And
as fast
as I
possible.
mentioned earlier,
And
having
as I
emergency
mentioned earlier,
savings can
having
help prevent
emergency
accumulating
savings can help
future
prevent
debt.
accumulating future
My best
debt.
advice is to assess your own
My best
financial
advice
situation
is to
and
assess
goals,
your own
make
financial
plans,
situation and
keep
goals,
up with your
make
payments,
plans,
no matter
and
what
keep
you
up
choose
with your
to
payments,
prioritize.
no matter what you choose
You mentioned
to prioritize.
We know that compound interest can be a very powerful tool for saving money. Powerful tool. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Can you tell us a little bit about
Some of
it?
our listeners may already
Sure.
be familiar.
Some of our
with
listeners may
interest.
already be familiar
where money
with
in an
interest.
account gains
Where
interest
money
in an
based
account
on the
gains
initial
interest
amount you put
based
into
on
the
the
account.
initial amount you put
So
into
for
the
example,
account. If you deposit $100 into an
if you
account
deposit
with an
$100
annual
interest
interest
rate
rate
of
of 10%,
10%,
with an annual
each
interest
year,
rate of 10%,
you'll gain
each
$10.
year, you'll
Compound
gain
interest,
$10.
however, doesn't just
Compound
calculate
interest, however,
interest based
doesn't
on the
just
initial
calculate
amount put
interest
in
based
the
on
account.
the initial amount
It calculates
put in
it
the account.
based on the amount that
It calculates it
includes
based on the
interest.
amount that
So really,
includes
you're stacking
interest.
money on
So
top
really,
of money.
you're stacking money
So
on
in
top
the
of money.
example I gave,
You'll
in
gain
the example I
$10
gave,
the first
you'll
year.
gain
But
$10
then you have
the
a
first
total
year.
of $110.
But then you have a total of $110.
10% of that new amount is $11.
10% of that new amount.
So you gain
is
$11 of interest in the
So
second
you gain
year,
$11 of
totaling
interest in the second year,
$121.
totaling
$121.
Additionally,
the more times per year an account compounds
the more
interest,
times per year
the more
an
money
account
you'll be
compounds
adding
interest,
into your
the
account.
more money you'll be
It's
adding
a great way
into
to
your
save
account.
money, especially
It's a
for
great
young
way
people,
to save
because
money,
over time,
especially for young
the amount
people,
gets
because over
exponentially
time,
bigger. The amount
Thanks,
gets
Michelle. That's very
exponentially
helpful.
bigger.
Thanks, Michelle.
Now,
That's
what
very
advice
helpful.
do you have for our listeners
when
what
it comes
advice do
to
you have for our
establishing
listeners
relationships
when
with
it comes
banks
to establishing
and setting up
relationships
bank
with
accounts?
banks and
Well,
setting
one
up
program I
bank
highly
accounts?
recommend is Bank
Well,
on
one
DC.
program I highly
like
recommend
Financially
is
Fit
Bank on
DC.
DC.
It is another
Like Financially
DISB
Fit
program.
DC
It
that
is
my
another
office
DISB
offers.
program.
The Bank on
that
DC
my office
program is a
offers.
great resource
The Bank on
for
DC
district
program
residents
is a great
who are
resource
unbanked
for district
or
residents
underbanked.
who are
The program
unbanked
offers
or underbanked.
second chance accounts,
The program offers
which help people
second
who
chance
have
accounts,
previously had
which
challenges
help people who
with
have
things
previously
like overdrafting
had challenges
or
with
had
things
checks
like
bounced
overdrafting
and may end
or
up
had
on
checks
check
bounced
systems.
and may end
A
up on
second
check
chance
systems.
account is an opportunity
second
to
chance
establish
account
a
is
bank
an
account,
opportunity to
even if
establish
these
a
problems
bank
have
account,
existed in the past.
even if these problems
Folks
have
can learn
existed
more
in
about the
past.
program.
Folks
by
can learn
visiting
more about the
DISB
program by
dot
visiting
DC
DISB
or
dot
visiting
DC
Bank
on DC
or visiting
org.
Bank on
Thank you, Michelle. This has all been very practical. This has all
useful
been
information
very practical
on ways to save money and
useful
set savings
information.
goals.
On ways to save
Before
money
we
and
move
set
on to
savings
our
goals.
discussion
About
before we
all
move on
things
to our
credit.
discussion, do you have any
About
final
all
tips
things
you
credit.
want to share?
Do you have
building our
any final
savings?
tips you want to share?
I strongly
building our
encourage
savings?
folks to check out
I strongly encourage folks
financiallyfitdc.com.
to check out
There are a host of
financiallyfitdc.com.
great financial planning
There are a
tips
host
that
of great
include
financial
ways to
planning
save
tips
money,
that
on everything we
include
talked
ways to
about
save
and
money,
much more.
on everything we
You
talked
can
about
also
and
access
much more.
additional information.
You can
by
also
checking out
access additional
DISB
information by checking out
DISB.DC.gov.
For the second half of our program today, we're going to focus on program today. We're going to start out by discussing what exactly
Let's
credit
start out
is.
by discussing
Credit
what exactly
very
credit
simply
is
the
trust
trust
that allows
very
one
simply
party to
is
lend
the
money
trust
to
that
another
allows
party
one party
with the
to lend money
expectation
to another
that it will
party
be paid
with the
back in a timely
expectation
manner.
that it will be paid
Does
back
that definition
in a timely
sum it
manner.
up, Michelle?
Does that
That
definition
is a great
sum
way
it up,
to explain
Michelle?
it, Jasmine. That is a
Think
great
of
way to
credit as
explain
the
it,
likelihood
Jasmine.
a friend
Think
will
of
pay
credit
you
as
back
the likelihood
if you
a
lend them
friend
some
will
cash.
pay you back. Some
If you
people will
lend
pay
them
you
some
back
cash.
the instant they're
Some
able.
people will pay you
whereas
back
others
the instant
may take
they're
a bit
able,
of prodding. Whereas others
Similarly,
may take a bit of prodding.
you can establish good
Similarly,
credit with timely
you can
payments.
establish good
And
credit
understanding
with timely
that
payments.
those payments
and
may
understanding
be
that
with interest.
those payments may
Sounds
be
simple
with
enough,
interest.
doesn't it? Sounds simple
But
enough.
how do you establish
doesn't it?
credit
in the first place?
But how do you establish
Credit
credit
is established
in the first
by
place?
taking out loans.
Credit is established
and
by
making
taking out
on-time
loans
payments
and making
Good
on-time
credit
payment
leads
Good
to being
credit
able to obtain
leads
loans.
to being
That may
able to
sound a
obtain
bit
loans.
contradictory.
That may
But having
sound
good
a bit
credit helps you
contradictory.
build your credit
But having good
profile.
credit helps you build
There
your
are
credit
easy ways
profile.
to build your credit.
There are
when you're
easy
starting
ways
out
to build your credit,
such as
when you're
securing
starting out
a credit
such
card.
as securing
So we begin to
a
establish credit.
card.
Tell us about those scary credit scores. What
Tell
are
us
they
about those
and how are they
scary credit
calculated?
scores.
Credit
What are they
scores
and how are they
a
calculated?
representation of
Credit
your
scores
financial history.
are a representation
and how
of
risky
your
you
financial
are
history
to a lender.
and how risky you are
It is usually
to a lender.
represented as
It is
a
usually
three-digit number
represented
that ranges
as a
from
three-digit
300
number
to 850.
that ranges from
Many
300
institutions
to 850.
use your credit
Many
score
institutions
as an indicator
use your credit
of how
score
likely it
as
is
an
that you'll
indicator
repay your
of how
debt
likely it
in
is that
full
you'll
and
repay
in a
your
timely
debt
manner.
in full.
Credit
and in a
scores are
timely
calculated using statistics.
Credit scores are
and
calculated
mathematical
using
formulas.
statistics
and
they
mathematical
take into
formulas.
account several
And
different
they
things.
take into account
The most
several
important
different
input
things.
into the formula.
The most
is your
important
payment
input
history.
into the formula.
Paying
is
your
bills on
payment
time
history.
is a key
Paying your
factor.
bills on time.
The more
is a
bills
key
you pay late,
factor.
and the
The
later
more
you've
bills
paid
you
them,
pay late, the worse
and
off
the later
your score
you've paid
will
them,
be. The
credit
worse off your
utilization
score will
is the
be.
second largest
Credit
factor.
utilization
and it
is
is
the
also
second
known
largest factor.
as the amount
And
of
it is
credit
also
you
known
use.
as the amount
Additional
of credit
factors
you
include
use.
the length of your
Additional
credit history,
factors include
the types
the length
of credit,
your credit
you've
history,
used, and the types of credit
with
you've
which
used,
you take
and the
out
frequency
new
with
credit.
which you take
Thanks for that
out
overview,
new
Michelle.
credit.
So
Thanks
we
for
know
that
that
overview,
having and
Michelle.
maintaining a good credit
So
score
we know that
is
having
important.
and maintaining a
Can
good
you tell
credit
us
score
why
is
That is exactly Can you tell us why that is exactly? More often than not, and why checking your credit score more often than not is a smart idea?
A good credit score is instrumental in achieving your financial goals. With a good credit score, you're more likely to qualify for loans. You're more likely to qualify for interest rates. And at whether you're trying to buy a house, a new car, you're trying to buy a home improvement, a new car, knowing your credit score gives you a clear assessment. Knowing your credit score of your financial capability assessment and helps your financial capability, your finances, and helps you to plan your finances. Keep up with your credit. Keep
now
up
that we've covered credit scores. Now that we've covered credit scores, how does a credit report, Michelle? How does a credit report from a credit score differ?
Jasmine, that's a great question. Jasmine, a credit report is a great statement that contains information about your credit activity, information about your credit loan payment history, like the status of any of the accounts you have, and the status of any of the credit reports come from credit bureaus. Credit reports come from credit bureaus, which collect and store financial data about you that is submitted by about you that is submitted by your creditors, also known as lenders. Creditors use these reports to determine whether or not to lend interest rate to offer you money. What interest rate to offer you, you're continuing to meet the terms of an existing account. Other businesses may check credit reports to decide whether to offer you products such as insurance, renting a house, or getting utilities, renting a house, or getting utilities. Typically contain your personal information, including your social security number, including your social security number, including account balances, credit accounts, and including account balances and payment histories of yours that are in collection, like civil suits, public records, or bankruptcy, like civil suits. Whereas a credit score is a number that tells you how likely you are to pay back lenders, how likely you are to pay back loans. Is like the itemized version of the score. It shows you of the your score. Precise. It shows you history. Your precise.
What is the difference between credit scores? What is the difference between from credit scores like Credit Karma you'd obtain versus the FICO credit scores that lenders use? The FICO credit scores that lenders use.
Credit Karma scores and FICO scores Credit Karma may be calculated FICO scores may be calculated. Typically use FICO. Lenders typically use FICO. They likely will look at the same factors. They likely will look at the same factors, length of credit history, new credit applications, and so forth. New credit applications and so forth. May be weighted differently in the calculation. Credit Karma scores are informational scores. Credit Karma scores and can be a good way to get an idea. And can be a good way to get an idea, but it's not of what your score is. But it's not official.
Michelle. Thank you. Wow, I'd like to circle back to the topic of credit cards. I'd like to circle back. You mentioned earlier that one way to establish credit. You mentioned earlier that one way to establish credit. Can you tell our listeners how credit cards work? Can you tell our listeners
you may be familiar with debit cards, which take money directly out of your bank account, which take money directly out of your bank account. On the other hand, is credit cards on the other hand from lenders such as Visa, Mastercard, from lenders such as Visa, Mastercard. At the end of the month, you have to pay back all the money you spent using your credit card. All the money if you don't pay it back your credit card in full, if you don't pay it back. You'll have to pay interest on the remaining balance. You'll have to pay interest on the remaining balance. It can be tempting to make large purchases. It can be tempting to with your credit large purchases since it's money you're with borrowing. Your credit card. But remember, since it's money you're borrowing, you always have to pay it back. You always have to pay it back. So you don't buy anything with credit. So you don't buy anything with credit that you're not sure you can pay for.
Let's quickly go over some common credit issues. Let's quickly go over some common credit and how to deal with people may run into first, and how to deal. Having a good credit score comes from having a good credit score comes from having. Michelle, what happens if you have a limited credit history? Michelle, what happens if you have no limited credit history? Or even no credit history at all. There are actions you can take to build your credit history. There are actions you can take to build your credit history. You can take out a secured credit card. You can take out a secured credit card.
or
making
a credit
full
builder loan.
on-time payments is a
Making
helpful way to
full
start
on-time
building good
payments
credit
is a
that
helpful
will be
way to
reported
start
to
building
credit
good
bureaus.
credit that will be
It's also
reported
about
to credit
showing you're
bureaus.
trustworthy.
It's
as
also
a
about
loan
showing you're
recipient.
trustworthy
What happens
as a
if your
loan
credit
recipient.
application? What
is
happens
denied,
if your
Michelle?
credit
The
application
first thing you want to
is
figure
denied,
out
Michelle?
is why.
The first thing
your
you want to
credit
figure out
application was
is
denied.
why
Your
lenders
credit
are
application
legally
was denied.
required to either
Lenders
tell you
are
the
legally
reasons you were
required
denied,
to either
or
tell
at
you the
least
reasons you were
notify
denied
you within
or at
60
least
days,
notify
with a
you
copy of
within
the credit
60
report
days
that was used.
with a copy of the
You
credit
should
report
also
that was
take
used.
this opportunity
You
to
should
review
also
your credit
take this
report
opportunity
and
to
correct
review your
any
credit
errors
report
if
and
they
correct
exist.
any
Remember,
errors if
even
they
small
exist.
changes
Remember,
in your credit
even
report
small
can
changes
help you secure
in your credit
a
report
loan
in the
can
future.
help you secure
This has all
a
been
loan
very
in the
helpful,
future.
Michelle. Thank you. This has all been very helpful, Michelle. What should folks do to protect themselves? What should folks do to protect themselves? And what should they do if they think they've been victims? And what should they
These
do
are
if
all
they think
good
they've been
questions,
victims?
Jasmine. These are
First,
all good questions.
Review your
Jasmine.
credit reports to make
First,
sure the
review
only
your credit
information
reports
in
to
them
make
is
sure
about
the
you.
only information
Report
in them
any
is about
inaccuracies
you.
or suspicious
any
information
inaccuracies
you find or
immediately
suspicious
to one of the
information
credit
you
bureaus.
find immediately
If
to
you
one of the
suspect
credit bureaus.
fraudulent activity,
If you
report
suspect
it
fraudulent
and place
activity,
a security freeze
report it
on your report.
and place a security freeze on your
Also,
reports.
notify your lenders
Also,
and banking
notify
partners.
your lenders
Makes sense.
and banking partners.
As we wrap up our discussion of saving for the future, as we wrap up our discussion of saving for the future, any final thoughts you'd like to share? Credit.
Well, as I
Any
mentioned
final
earlier,
thoughts you'd like to
the
share?
Financially
Well,
Fit
as I
DC
mentioned
program
earlier,
is a great
the Financially
financial
Fit
planning
DC program
resource.
is a great
There's a
financial
large
planning
variety of
resource.
topics
You
There's
can
a
choose
large
from
variety
and
of
plenty
topics
of
you can
resources,
choose
videos,
from,
and
articles,
plenty of
and
resources,
more to
videos,
help educate
articles,
you on
and
your
more
financial
to help
journey.
educate you
And Michelle,
on your
what kind of
financial
topics?
journey. Well,
And Michelle,
there are
what
resources
kind
on
of
credit
topics?
and saving.
Well, there are
but
resources
also
on
banking,
credit and saving,
debt management,
but also
retirement,
banking,
debt
identity
management,
theft protection,
retirement, and much more.
identity theft
You can check out
protection,
that website
and much more
at
You can check out that
financiallyfitdc.com.
website at
But Jasmine, there's also
financiallyfitdc.com.
Bank on DC.
But Jasmine,
as
there's
I mentioned
also
earlier.
Bank on DC.
Additionally,
as I mentioned
there are
earlier.
financial education
Additionally,
programs
there are financial
available from
education
the Federal
programs
Deposit
available
Insurance
from
Corporation,
the Federal Deposit
one called
Insurance
Money Smart for
Corporation,
Adults, one called
and from
Money
the
Smart
Consumer
for
Financial
Adults,
Protection Bureau,
and from the
called
Consumer
Your Money,
Financial
Your Goals.
Protection Bureau,
Wow,
called
thank you,
Your
Michelle.
Money, Your Goals.
I appreciate your time
thank you,
and all
Michelle.
the great information
I
you
appreciate
shared
your
today.
time and all the great information
This
you
concludes
shared
the
today.
department's podcast on
This
saving
concludes
for the
the department's
and understanding
podcast
credit
on saving for the
For
future
more information
and
about the
understanding
department's
credit.
services and
For
resources,
more information about the
visit
department's services and
DISB.dc.gov.
resources,
Visit DISB
or call us at
.dc.gov
202-727
or call us
8202.
You can also visit
bankondc.org.
You can also
to learn
visit
more about building
bankondc.org
financial stability,
to learn
and the
more
partners
about
who help
building
us
financial
fulfill our
stability.
mission.
And the
Follow
partners
us
who
on
help us
social
fulfill our
media,
mission,
including
follow
Twitter,
us on social media,
Instagram,
including Facebook,
Twitter,
and LinkedIn.
Instagram, Facebook.
Thank you all for
and
joining
LinkedIn.
us. And take care, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. And take care, everyone.